Next would be audience, so email writing with audience. Identify yourself clearly and completely. That's a huge one. Be sure that the person receiving this message knows exactly who you are, where you're from, what you want, okay? And that's all part of establishing your identity in the online environment. Second is don't assume privacy. That's huge. A lot of people send emails thinking, well, this is just between me and the person receiving it. It never is, so don't assume privacy. Third is, and probably most important, recognize formal and informal audiences. All right? If you are writing, an email is somewhere, as I say here, it's not a letter, but it's not a text message either. Okay? So when you're writing an email, it doesn't need to be, "Dear Sir," and then a long, written out formal letter with a "sincerely." For the same reason that web content, we talked about having the conclusions first, putting the relevant material first, and working backwards. Same thing applies here. But recognize when you need to be formal, okay, and when you can be more informal. An email to a friend versus an email to a professor or something like that. Some of this may seem obvious, but it's something to actually keep in mind as you're sitting down to write, because too many things can get lost when that's not taken into account. So not a letter, but not a text message either. Complete sentences, that sort of thing. So when we look at email writing pitfalls, well, one huge one is email is too fast. So again, be sure that you've got the right audience, that you're speaking in a formal tone if you have a formal audience, and keep in mind who your audience is. Proofread then being another huge one there, right? Spell check it. Nobody likes getting things that haven't been spell checked. Make sure it's spelled right. Email is too slow, okay? That's the opposite problem. You want prompt responses, and you need to follow up when necessary. Right? In other words, email is not intended to be as slow as snail mail. It's supposed to be faster, but when it can be too fast, occasionally you dash off something too quickly, and the message is lost. One example of this is a colleague who sent an email. The person responded with, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't think you included XYZ." The person said, "Should have read my email closer." Now, what's the problem there? Well, tone is the issue there. What the person responding meant was, I should have read my email more closely and included the information for you. But the person read it as, you should have read my email more closely. And a fight ensued that didn't need to because email was a little too fast. Okay. So to wrap up then with some key online writing tips. One is keep it short and to the point. We've talked about that. Keep it as concise as possible. Second is lead with your most important information. So conclusions first. Get your main ideas out first. Why is that? Because your readers are going to scan and skim. And finally, online writing is paradoxical. So we talked a little bit about that. You're faceless and must create an identity. So when you're writing to someone online, you really don't have, no one knows who you are, and it's up to you to create sort of a tone and a voice for yourself. At the same time, your writing is public, and you're not anonymous. So always keep that in mind as well. So I think if you remember those 4 main tips, those are some key strategies that will help you for web writing as well as for email writing, and they apply as well to any other writing that you would do in an online context.